You feel it in the checkout line, on the loading screen, and in that fake cheerful, "Hey there," from a support chatbot that can't actually help you. The price goes up, the quality goes down, and the apology is always the same. Thank you for your patience. Patience with what exactly? With a world that quietly expects you to accept worse for more and to smile about it? Welcome to Fog of Work. Here, we don't pretend the system is getting better just because the logo is shinier. We talk about what life actually feels like right now, the slow grind where everything seems a little flimsier, a little more disposable, and somehow you feel a little more disposable too. Maybe you've noticed how fast the old normal became the new luxury. Real customer service, luxury. Durable products, luxury. Ads not shoved in your face after you already paid, luxury. The story you've been sold says, this is what progress looks like. But if progress is paying more to get less, who exactly is moving forward? Enshitification sounds rude because it should. It's the cycle where a product starts out great, then quietly gets worse. First, companies woo you with value, low prices, useful features, decent support. Then, once you're locked in, they move the value somewhere else, towards advertisers, partners, or middlemen who pay for your attention. Finally, they move it inward, toward themselves, by trimming service, adding fees, and ratcheting up prices. The app you loved turns into a maze of pop-ups. The store you trusted becomes a pay-to-win billboard. The subscription that used to feel fair now feels like rent you're forced to pay to escape annoyances they introduced. You know it when you feel it. The thing is technically still there, but it's hollowed out. Like a house staged for a showing, lights on, fruit bowl carefully placed, and no plumbing behind the walls. People love to say, if you don't like it, just switch. Switch to what? Every path out is fenced off with contracts, bundles, loyalty points, and limited time offers that reset the moment you try to leave. Your data is trapped behind terms of service you never agreed to with a clear mind. Your friends are all on this platform, your devices only work with that ecosystem, your music and photos live in someone else's vault. So the games begin. Hide the cancel button, split the product into add-ons, and blur the line between price and penalty. Healthy competition gives you options. This new version gives you illusions. Different doors that all lead back to the same corridor, where the air gets a little staler the more people file in. And once enough of us are used to it, the decline stops feeling like a problem. It just feels like how things are. That's the trick. Not to make the product better, but to make our expectations smaller. Here's the part nobody likes to admit. When everything around you feels cheap, temporary, and hard to care about, that feeling spreads. It doesn't stop with products. It seeps into how we treat time, relationships, and even ourselves. When you own nothing, only access it, you're discouraged from repairing, maintaining, or stewarding anything. The world becomes a stream of temporary rentals, shows you don't keep, tools you can't open, services you can't fix, accounts you can lose. That weakens a basic human instinct to take care of what's yours, to invest, to build, to pass something on. And then something darker happens. Work starts to mirror the same logic. You're not a person carrying experience and craft. You're a resource. You're slotted into a headcount spreadsheet that can be optimized the same way a product gets optimized. You feel it the moment a team is told to do more with less. The smiles get tighter, the meetings get colder, and everyone quietly learns the truth. What matters isn't the people, it's the numbers. If the mindset is that everything is replaceable, we start to carry that story inside our own heads. We begin to act like we're replaceable too. That's the real cost of enshitification. It trains us to devalue not just the world, but ourselves. You don't need a graph to understand shrinkflation. You can hold it in your hand. The bag is the same size, the inside is mostly air, and somehow the price went up while the product got smaller. That's not a supply chain hiccup, that's a strategy. Because if we won't accept a higher sticker price, they'll change the thing itself and hope we don't notice. Skimpflation is the service version. The 24/7 support becomes a bot that loops you in circles. The airline experience becomes a map of fees. The bank upgrade becomes a bundle of features nobody asked for. The delivery window creeps from afternoon to sometime before bedtime, and your time eats the cost. You walk away slightly more tired and slightly more resigned. Multiply that by your entire life. What makes this hard isn't any one example. It's the slow, steady erosion. 1,000 tiny signals teaching you to expect less and be grateful for it. There's a difference between paying for something and paying to remove a problem that didn't need to exist. More and more, subscriptions feel like the second one. You're not paying for a better product. You're paying to be left alone, to stop the ads you didn't ask for, to keep features that used to be standard, to unlock what was locked for the sole purpose of selling you the key. It's not just streaming. It's software you thought you owned now depending on a monthly fee to keep the basics. It's pro features that were once normal. Download, share, backup, broken into small shells that rattle unless you pay to fill them. It's the treadmill of free trials that auto-renew on day 8 because day 7 is a holiday and day 6 was busy. Subscriptions can be useful, but the trap is when everything becomes a subscription. You stop building a life and start managing a pile of bills. Your attention is sliced into renewal dates and special offers. Your sense of ownership gets replaced with a sense of permission. Am I allowed to do this? Am I paid up? The more the world works like that, the more we stop seeing ourselves as capable humans and start seeing ourselves as accounts to keep in good standing. Think about the modern marketplace we all use because, frankly, it's convenient. It started by making life easier, fast shipping, wide selection, predictable returns. Over time, the experience changed. Search results got crowded with ads. Genuine reviews drowned in noise. Deals became puzzles of coupons, bundled items, and urgency banners. Sellers pay to be seen, and you pay to find what you actually want. On the surface, nothing looks broken. The package still arrives. But beneath the tape, the incentives shifted. The storefront became a billboard. The billboard became a toll road. And the toll road trained us to accept that this is simply how shopping works now. You pay to be advertised to, then pay more to bypass the very friction that advertising created. What does that do to us? It replaces trust with cynicism. You start expecting little traps in every click, so you stop caring. You don't read details, you skim. You don't compare, you give up. That's how quality dies. Not with a scandal, but with a shrug. If this is hitting close to home, you're not imagining it. If you want more breakdowns like this, tap like so this message reaches more people, and subscribe to Fog of Work. It helps push back against the exact systems we're talking about. Stick with me. Next, we'll unpack why this feels global and what you can do without turning your life into a spreadsheet. Talk to people in different countries and the details shift, but the feeling's the same. Groceries cost more. Services cut corners. Companies smile wider while helping less. You start hearing the same sentence in different accents. It is what it is. That's the scariest part. Not one bad product, but a fog rolling over everything. A dull, low hum of don't expect much. When a whole world starts repeating that, you can almost feel the floor lowering an inch at a time. At first, you fight it. You write the support ticket, you wait on hold, you argue the fee. Then you notice the pattern. The time it costs you is the point. You're meant to tire out. And when you do, a switch flips. Why bother becomes the default. You skip reading the terms. You pay the fee to make the problem go away. You stop asking for better because it feels like begging a wall. That training bleeds into work. You start telling yourself the same story about your job and your worth. You stop pushing for good tools, humane deadlines, sane workloads. You sign up for one more temporary stretch, because maybe this time it'll be recognized. Then, nothing changes. And the part of you that cared takes a step back just to survive. You see it at checkout, a mysterious processing charge, a convenience fee for doing the company's job for them. You see it in support that sounds friendly but solves nothing. Whole industries learned the same magic trick: add friction where it helps them, remove it where it helps you. The performance looks like service, the outcome feels like extraction. And over time, you internalize the choreography. You keep your card handy. You expect the surprise fee. You stop asking if it makes sense. That's how Enshitification wins, by making you a co-author of the script. Remember when you searched for something and found what you needed? Now it's like walking through a bazaar, shouting over salesmen to reach the one real shop at the back. Every space gets colonized by the priority that pays. The result isn't just annoying, it changes what you look for. You lower your standards from best to good enough to whatever shows up. And once you're numb, the system doesn't have to improve. It only has to keep you scrolling. There's a quiet rebellion in fixing things, tightening a screw, replacing a battery, sharpening a blade instead of tossing it when it dulls. It's not nostalgia. It's self-respect. The act of repair says, this has value. I have agency. It trains your hands and your mind toward care instead of consumption. Buy fewer, better things. Learn one simple repair this month. Keep a tiny kit for the basics. Each small success rewires the story. From I am a customer to I am a steward. The same spirit works at home and at work. Document a process, clean up a folder structure, unsubscribe from the chaos, fix one tiny thing you touch daily. Dignity grows in places where care is practiced. You don't need a spreadsheet to see the incentive. If a company can make more by giving you less and nothing stops it, that's where it will drift. Not because every leader is evil, but because the rails run that way. The answer isn't to find a perfect hero brand. It's to change what rails you stand on, where you spend, who you reward, what you tolerate. The small choices aren't everything, but they're not nothing. They're the first cuts that make a new path. Start light. You don't need a manifesto. You need momentum. Re-own a slice of your life. Download copies of what matters, photos, files, notes. Keep a local backup. Even a small archive tells your brain, I keep what I value. Repair one thing: shoes, a chair, a phone battery. Feel what it's like to bring something back. That feeling beats retail therapy. Rescope subscriptions. Pick one day a month to cancel two you barely use. If you miss them, you'll know. If you don't, you just bought back attention. Relabel your time. Treat an hour of sleep, a walk, or an unhurried meal as premium. Put it on your calendar the way they put fees on your bill. Rehumanize work. Set one boundary you can keep. No messages after X. No status meetings without a decision on deck. One boundary, consistently enforced, is worth a dozen speeches. Individually, you can nudge. Together, you can shove. None of this requires a cape, Default to transparency. Politely ask for all-in pricing wherever you can. Companies notice when enough people push back. Reward repair and portability. Buy from places that let you fix and keep your stuff. Leave a review that explains why. Complain once, publicly. A simple, calm post describing your experience often works better than 10 private tickets. Be fair, be specific, and move on. Pool power. Share family plans. Rotate streaming months with friends. Buy from worker-owned or local shops when it's practical. Not purity, just pressure. Back the boring things, the policies and standards that make switching easier, fees visible, and dark patterns illegal. The boring fixes change the game. This isn't progress, it's extraction dressed up as convenience. But there's a way out, and it isn't a single heroic leap. It's 1,000 small acts of care, refusal, and redesign, done by people who remember their own worth. Thanks for being here with Fog of Work. If this spoke to you, subscribe and share it with someone who's starting to feel like an expendable cog. I want to hear your story. I always read every comment. Tell me, where did you notice paying more for less this week, and what's one small thing you did or will do to push back? When you're ready for more, explore the rest of the channel. Deep dives on corporate feudalism, the myth of the 40-hour workweek, quiet forms of modern slavery, and the everyday decay of late-stage capitalism. Pick the theme that hits closest to your life, and let's keep pulling the fog back together.